So, we're here with Bill Grove at the Henn Theater in Murphy, North Carolina, and we're going to learn a little bit about Bill and about the Henn Theater.
Yes,
which is a rather historic theater.
It is a historic theater. Been here since, well, in this current location since 1941, and was around the corner at another location since 1935. So PJ built this one in this location in 1941.
And that would be PJ Henn.
That's correct, yeah.
That's why it's called the Henn Theater, not because it's a chicken.
That is absolutely correct. Henn, and will be called the Henn as long as I have anything to do with it. PJ was a wonderful fellow and did a lot for entertainment. He had, I think 13 theaters before the Great Depression. Lost them all but 2, and this is the only one still remaining. So he's done some pretty amazing things.
So Bill, I first met you, 20 years or so ago.
It's been a while.
When we worked at Grove Enterprises.
We certainly did.
Would you like to talk about what you do at Grove?
No, I'm really not.
And by the way, before we start, I've got to say, you have a couple of great parents. I really like Bob and Judy.
I do kind of like them, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm a graphics designer. I do web pages, I do a magazine, I do catalogs, I do all that kind of thing, plus run the computer systems for Grove. The people probably don't know that John and I were the ones that started Grove.net. So we brought in the first internet service provider to the area so that people could access the internet back in the days of modems. And John and I came up with a way for us to be able to authorize users so that each one of you could have your own little individual account. And I was the one doing the hardware, so I had big banks of modems, and GTE at the time brought in big towers of phone banks and everything for us. So it was quite an interesting time, but John and I certainly enjoyed working together on that.
Yes, we did. It was an adventure.
Yeah. So, but no, at Grove, still what I do is I still work on their computers, maintaining them, and we have a monthly magazine called Monitoring Times. I do that graphics design and layout. I do their website, I do their catalog, I do advertising, whatever happens to be needed to be done graphically.
So running the Henn Theater is quite a big difference from doing all the work you do at Grove.
That it is.
So what prompted you to take on this?
Well, I've always loved movies, for one thing. And back when I was a child, I was good friends with Betsy and with PJ and with her son Rex. And during that time, I used to come to the theater all the time. She ran it herself at the time, with PJ in here occasionally taking tickets, and Keith upstairs running the projector. And so when I came, it's just, I've always loved movies. I've always been interested in them. And back when I was around 15 years old, PJ wanted me to take it over at that point. He was still very old-fashioned and felt a male should have control of things. And so instead of his daughter Betsy running it, he wanted me to take it over. But at the time, I wasn't ready to do that sort of thing. And so she kept it running until he passed away, and when he did, then I came back into the situation to offer to purchase it from her, and of course with the guarantee that it would stay as PJ's place. She didn't make that part of the deal, I did. But I wanted to honor his tradition, and that's what got me into it. And actually, I ended up getting the Andrews Theater before the Henn Theater. It's just I've always wanted movie theaters, and then as the Henn became more available, then I came in and got it as well. And last year sold the Andrews Theater, but we'll keep the Henn, as far as I'm concerned, indefinitely.
So Bill, is it difficult to run a theater in a small town?
Very. Small towns are much more directly affected by the economy, and the way the economy is nowadays, I mean, I never know week to week whether people are going to be coming to the theater, what movies they want to see, what movies are going to do well. For the last 8 years that I've had movie theaters, it had been very, very easy to predict what movies were going to do well. And in the last year or two, it's been near impossible. And so I just basically pick out ones that I think will do well and hope that they do. But until this economy turns around, it's very difficult to run. These people around here are struggling, and they're hit a lot harder than people in the cities and people with large corporate jobs. So I feel for them in that situation, and I want to keep the Henn Theater. But of course, these people are having some struggling times, and therefore it translates into slow business, as it does with any local business around here. The different theaters have different perspectives. For example, the drive-in theater down at Blue Ridge. Real nice guy runs it, and it does incredibly well because They can pack a whole bunch of people in a car and bring their own food in and do that sort of stuff. And his cost of operation is much lower. He doesn't have to cool his entire building. He doesn't have to pay a large staff to run the stuff. He's got everything consolidated in one little building. So his sound system he doesn't have to have because it runs right off their own car sound system. So there's a lot of things in that that's a benefit for him. Fieldstone, for example, very, very nice people. They've got 6 screens down there and a huge amount of overhead. So even though they do roughly 3 to 4 times the business we do on a single movie, they still lose money during these times as well, just because they have such a massive operation, have to pump so much money into operating something that large. And then, of course, there's the Andrews Theater. My friend John Urban runs it and does an extremely good job with it. He runs it himself as well. Now, I'm not in here a whole lot. I try to support my staff and give them as many hours as I possibly can so that these kids in high school can have a job and hopefully enjoy it and get the theater bug just like I have. But yes, it's very difficult to run, and I, of course, appreciate and love my customers and hope that if there's anything I can do to make it better, that they would tell me. But I certainly try to do the best that I can for them and for the theater.
You were talking about the difficult economy here in Murphy lately. Recently, you started showing some free movies for people.
Right.
What prompted you to do that?
Well, I would like to say that it was my very giving nature, but it actually started out as me being really irritated with a movie company and turned into something good. When I had the Lorax, that was from, I guess, whenever the tornado went through. I'm not exactly sure when it was. On certain movies, we have to do what's called a guarantee, which means I put a whole bunch of money forward, and when it's a guarantee, I don't get the money back. So, for example, on Lorax, I had to put $2,500 toward the movie company and say, I think Lorax is going to do really good. You get to keep this money no matter what. Well, we had the hurricane hit, or tornado hit, and wiped out a whole bunch of stuff, killed the power. Of course, everybody was focused on that. And I went to the movie company and I told them, you know, we've just had this tornado. Is there anything I can do? And they said, no, that's why it's called a guarantee. So I figured, all right, I'm out $2,500. I guess at least my community can benefit from it. So I just said, everybody just come on in for free then. If the movie company's going to be that way, then hey, my community may as well benefit from this problem. Well, a whole bunch of people came while I was here. We literally sold out every single show. It was absolutely incredible. And I was here, and people were bringing in 6 and 7 children with them and saying, thank you so much for doing this. There's no other way we could have seen the movie. And it got to me, it touched my heart. And so after that, I just decided if I ever have the ability that I will show these movies for free once in a while when I can afford to do so that the community, those people that don't normally have that extra money to come and spend on something like this, can especially bring in their children to come and get that special feeling you get when you come to the movies. It's unique to everyone, but to kids especially. Even with all the saturation of the DVDs and the satellites and everything, there's nothing like walking in, smelling the popcorn, sitting down, having the lights dim, and get that big, beautiful screen. And that's still something magical to kids today. And it hurts me very much to know that there are kids that can't experience that. So whenever I have the ability to do so, then I will let them come in for free so that they can have that experience as well.
So Bill, we're into summer now and schools are out. What are your show times?
Well, it just depends on the movie and the length of the movie. Usually I try to start at 3 and go through the 9 o'clock show. So if the movie is less than 2 hours long, I'll do a 3, a 5, a 7, and a 9 every day. I can do that when the schools are out because that's when the kids like to come to the movies. Parents want to bring the kids and have something to do. So I do showtimes during the day. During the school year, I only do the what's called matinee shows, which is anything before 7 o'clock on the weekends, and then through the week I just have the evening shows because most parents can't bring their kids out or can't make a show while they're working. And so that's why I switch those times. Now, during the school year, very often I work with the school systems, and they will, during the school day, bring the kids over for special shows. So depending on what movie I have and what I have available at the time, they'll call me, they'll schedule to bring, 150 kids or something like that during the school day as a reward for if they've done really great through the 6-month period, 4-month period, 3-month period, whatever break they have, then they'll get together with me and bring over an entire school group, and we'll let them in for a good discounted rate, giving them popcorn and drinks and just treating them really special. And that's a lot of fun to do as well. And we do other special groups here and there. Businesses will sometimes contact us, like IOI. They bring some of their people over. We have church groups that come over, and I set up special deals for them. And so if they have a group of people that they want to reward for something, then I work with them, again, so that they can have that good experience at the theater.
Bill, one final question. I think it's been quite an accomplishment for you to be able to keep the Henn Theater open with all the economic troubles and things we've had lately.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, there's a benefit to the Henn, like over Andrews Theater, for example. The Andrews Theater, I didn't own the building. I just owned the business itself and had to pay a monthly rent or a lease on that. The Henn Theater, I own the entire building. And so it's much easier to run a business when you own the building. Of course, you have a lot more money tied up in it, but at the same term, you don't have to constantly come out with that monthly payment. So during a tough time, it is easier to run. I'm not going to say it's easy to run, just easier. So that's one of the big benefits of owning the property, is that it is, during tough times, easier to run. Of course, we also have our taxes and everything like that on top of it. But for the most part, that helps out. I'm not sure about an accomplishment, but it's something that I put my mind to and focused on, and something that I really wanted to do. So I did it.
Well, thank you, Bill. This has been a fun interview.
Well, good. I'm certainly glad, and hope that everybody out there in Murphy Gold Land enjoys the interview and continues to support you, John, and all the amazing work you do for our community.